Thank you so much, Gabby. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you also so much to the EcoFair team, all the volunteers who are making this amazing event possible. I'm really grateful for this opportunity to moderate the Connecting with Nature panel. So connecting with nature is not only important to develop that sense of stewardship that's important for our planet and environment, but also beneficial for our health. So I'm really excited to introduce our panel of 5 amazing panelists. So first up, we have Mariko. So Mariko is a local eco author and illustrator with a science, architecture, and engineering background. Mariko Uda aspires to write informative and delightful picture books that educate, inspire, and empower Torontonians of all ages and backgrounds. So Mariko's here. Next up, we have Rochelle, who is the founder and executive director of A Greener Future, which is an environmental nonprofit that promotes environmental preservation through organizing litter cleanups, educational programs, and events. Third, we have John with Friends of Cedarvale. So Friends of Cedarvale is a volunteer organization dedicated to maintaining and improving Cedarvale Park and Ravine in Toronto. And the fourth panelist is R.A. Morris, who goes by Tony. Tony is the author of Beyond What Separates Us, a timely work of speculative fiction that offers a glimpse of what societies may look like if we continue on our path of ecological degradation. And fifth, we have Andrew from Transition Toronto. Transition Toronto is a community-based organization working towards a positive vision of a Toronto that continues to support a high quality of life as it leaves fossil fuels behind. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And without further ado, we'll get to the first question. So the order that I introduced everyone in is the order that everyone's going to answer the questions. And remember that if you have any questions, just leave them in the YouTube chat and we'll do our best to select your question at the end of this panel. So number one, can you please tell us about yourself and your initiative and what inspired you to start it? And we'll start with Mariko.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Mariko, and my website's ecomariko.com, and this is my book, Where Does It All Come From? Where Does It All Go? Toronto's Water, Energy, and Waste System. And I wrote this book because I noticed that a lot of us don't know where our water comes from, where our electricity or natural gas comes from, or where our garbage goes. And I felt that this was basic information that we should all know. Because it helps us see how we're part of the environment. And once we see how we're part of the environment, we can assess where we are and improve that relationship. And I also made the book very specific. So it's about Toronto. And for instance, you can figure out from this map which of the 4 sewage treatment plants your poop goes to. So I made it specific because I think for a real relationship with our environment, we have to have a specific relationship. So that's what my book's about. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Mariko. I definitely want to get your book. It seems really interesting. And yeah, you made it really easy to understand our water systems. Awesome. So next up, we will have Rochelle.
Hi, so I'm Rochelle. I'm the executive director and founder of the environmental nonprofit A Greener Future. So the main thing that A Greener Future does is litter cleanups. We do over 100 litter cleanups along the shorelines of Lake Ontario every spring between Niagara-on-the-Lake and Kingston. So Toronto is actually a big section of the lake that we host our cleanups. We also run a program called the Butt Blitz, which focuses on cigarette butt litter. So we're always looking for volunteers, and we're a community-based organization. We try and bring all the communities kind of together since we all have one thing in common, and that's Lake Ontario. So the reason I got started with it was because I ended up going down to the waterfront, noticed some garbage, picked it up, and realized that there was garbage everywhere I looked, and I wasn't going to be able to pick it up all by myself. So since 2014, I've been gathering volunteers and hosting cleanups, and we've picked up over 1.5 million pieces of litter to date.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, I've participated in some of your cleanups, and I really liked the content that you gave to people to share as well. You have some great infographics, and it just makes it a lot more easy to create the event, to promote it, and to have those awesome graphics to share as well. And I also love that you have participants send the cigarette butts to TerraCycle. So rather than just throwing it out, we take the extra step to also recycle them through TerraCycle.
Yeah, exactly. We're always learning, and I love that we can get feedback from our volunteers and our interns, and keep making things better and put things where they're supposed to go.
For sure. Thank you so much. Next up, we have John with Friends of Cedarvale answering our first question.
Have I now unmuted myself?
Yes.
Good. Okay. I'm John Cummings. I'm the chair of Friends of Cedarvale, and that was introduced earlier. I was asked to answer the question, what inspired me to start with Friends of Cedarvale? And it was because there was no friend of my local park, Cedarvale, and I was aware that other parks had friends groups, so I decided to start one, and that was 8 years ago. We now have a committee of 6 that runs it, and we have 376 people on our email list. To get more information, I would direct you to our website, which if you Google Friends of Cedarvale, it brings up the website, which is friendsofcedarvale.wordpress.com. And the things to look at there would be About Us, which tells you what events are coming up. My blog, which I write about once a month, talks about the park and things that are happening in the park. A thing called Cedarvale Park, which includes a section called Flora and Fauna, where we have lists of all of the plants, trees, birds, and butterflies in the park. And finally, there's a section called Resources, and that's where we put all our videos. And there are several videos there that are well worth watching. So that's a brief introduction to Friends of Cedarvale.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Definitely need to take care of our parks and keep them beautiful. Yeah, and for everyone's website links, those are going to be on the EcoFair website. So just make sure that if you're interested in any of the things that our panelists are sharing, you can find them on there. Next up, we have R.A. Morris, or Tony, the author of Beyond What Separates Us.
Thanks, Sofiya. So yeah, I'm the author of the recently released eco-fiction novel, Beyond What Separates Us. As Sofiya mentioned, the novel is a timely work of speculative fiction that looks at what our societies may look like if we continue on our path of ecological degradation. It's told from the perspective of 4 main characters in different parts of the world as they struggle to overcome challenges and decide what kind of world they want to live in. I began writing the novel, this is my first novel, as a way to express my own anxieties about the future if we do not drastically change our relationship with the natural world. But ultimately, the book examines the best and worst aspects of humanity and ultimately the resiliency of nature. The book is available online at Chapters Indigo or Amazon, so please check it out.
Thank you so much, Tony. Sounds like a really interesting book, and I'm sure that there's a lot of it's a fiction book, right? So I'm sure that there's also a lot of great educational content in there too that we can learn from. Then finally, last but not least, we have Andrew from Transition Toronto.
Yeah, hi, thanks. So my name is Andrew Knox. I'm the president of Transition Toronto. Transition Toronto is one of the transition towns you'll find all over the world. They are all action-oriented responses to climate change that approach solutions at the community scale. It being action-oriented is what makes me interested in it, and also being involved at the community scale. Like Diane Sachs said, our own carbon footprint is a good place to start and a terrible place to stop. People really have to get out and get involved in their communities and do projects there. One of our projects is this EcoFair. We've been an organizational partner in the EcoFair for almost 10 years now. I'm very happy with this year's EcoFair. Thanks, everybody. Others include Treemobile. You can see at the website transitiontreemobile.org. We provide food-bearing trees and plants to people, not just in Toronto, but we also work with Transition Guelph to deliver in Guelph. And we've also now gone into Hamilton and we'll open in Kingston this year. We also run the project Food Up Front. Both of those two, Treemobile and Food Up Front, you can hear the founders and operators of those projects interviewed on the podcast Food Garden Life from episodes from this summer. So if you want to hear more about that, you can connect with Transition Toronto at transitiontoronto.org. Check out our projects at our projects page. You can get involved, and I welcome people to even apply to join our steering committee, because that's where a lot of our projects start. Transition Toronto is a very effective incubator for community projects. And so I'd encourage you to get in touch with us if you're interested in that.
Great, thank you so much. Yeah, plenty of ways to get involved. I'm sure that there's a way that everyone can help, for sure. Thank you so much, everyone. So we'll go over to the next question, which is, what is an accomplishment that you're proud of when it comes to your nature-connected work? And we will start with Mariko.
So in terms of accomplishments, well, when I hear back from readers, I get excited. For instance, when I hear from like parents reading with their toddlers, because I figure a long time ago, parents would pass on this kind of information to their kids about how everything works and where everything's going and coming from. But nowadays, sometimes parents don't know and kids are asking. So with this book, they're able to kind of learn about it together and then discuss it. So when I hear about them discussing it, I'm like, yes. And I'm also excited when newcomers read my book, because a lot of times people new to Toronto, they come and they don't really know how things work, or to Canada even. And they ask someone who's been living here a long time, and that person doesn't know either. So they're kind of out of the loop, and it sort of feels, I imagine, like being in someone else's kitchen. So with this book, I'm kind of trying to explain how it all works, and I'm hoping that that will help engage newcomers more readily to becoming involved in environmental things stuff. And the book's written very simply so that kids could read it, people who have ESL can read it, and so on. So yeah, thanks.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. Yeah, so it's becoming like a household conversation starter, and yeah, sounds like a really worthwhile discussion to have with your family or friends. Beautiful. Thank you. We'll go on to our next panelist, which is Rochelle.
Yeah, so something that I'm really proud of is the way that A Greener Future has kind of worked within the COVID-19 restrictions over the past months, because usually we do host 100 litter cleanups along the shores of Lake Ontario, but because of COVID-19, we couldn't host any gatherings. So we had to think quickly and make some changes. And I decided that I was going to stand up paddleboard across the lake to raise awareness about plastic pollution instead. So I did that. It took me 18 days and 92 hours to paddleboard from Kingston to Niagara-on-the-Lake. But I was so happy with how much support that we got along the way, because we were able to raise awareness about plastic pollution through social media mostly. And there was people that came out and waved to me from the shore. Lots of people that wanted to get involved with our cleanups when we can get it back to that, which we will be in the spring, because now we know how we can host events safely. And I think just most importantly, it showed me how strong our communities really can be, and that so many people have a huge appreciation for nature. So for me, being outside is like, I love it. It just gives me so much calm and inspiration. And being on the water for 92 hours, I've never felt closer to Lake Ontario than I do now. Just being able to immerse yourself in that kind of experience is amazing. And I picked up about 75 pieces of litter out of the lake along the way, but I also had my team following me on shore, and they picked up about 40,000 pieces from the shore. So even though we couldn't host our public events, we were still able to make an impact. And I think it made the people who were involved and did pick up litter a little bit closer to nature just by being outside and really taking it in and having that appreciation.
For sure. Thank you so much. Yeah, doing cleanups is definitely a great way to get connected with nature. Thank you. Third, we have John with Friends of Cedarvale.
Right. I'll have to get Rochelle going on Cedarvale Park. We have a big litter problem there, which I'm trying to deal with daily. I thought in terms of accomplishments, I'd talk about a particular thing that we've been working on this year, which is invasive.
John, we can't hear you. Okay, so in the meantime, we'll come back to John. We're just going to go over to R.A. Morris or Tony for his answer.
So my novel was published in September. So like Mariko, I'm kind of, I'm proud of some of the reviews that I've got thus far, that it's really resonating with readers, and making them recognize the challenges we face, but that ultimately, if we come together and act now, that we can kind of prevent what happens in the book from potentially happening, that we still have time to act if we get, start to work together a little better. So I'll leave it there.
Great, thank you so much. And finally, Andrew from Transition Toronto.
I'll just say we, through Treemobile and Food Up Front, have planted thousands of trees, food-bearing trees and shrubs, which not just gets volunteers planting, but gets people tending their own gardens, and all of that involves connection to nature.
Great, thank you. So we have about 2 minutes left. I'm gonna see if maybe John can answer this past question in his final question, which is, what is the #1 tip for people in the audience to take away for creating a deeper connection with nature? So let's just keep it very short.
Okay, so I would say that just like when you're camping or up north, you are as connected to the environment in the city as you are in rural areas. And you could put a sign at your tap saying, "This water is Lake Ontario." Thanks.
Love it. Thanks, Mariko. Second person?
Yeah, I think just getting outside and, enjoying it and take on new activities, go hiking, try paddle boarding, have new experiences in the outdoors.
For sure, love that. Third, John from Friends of Cedarvale.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I'll jump to the third question then. Tips for people to get to foster a deeper connection with nature. So here they are. get out into nature, leave your iPhone behind, leave your earplugs behind, go alone, observe and listen. That's it.
Love it. Thank you so much, John. Tony?
I just say, to echo some of the things we heard at the beginning, you know, act, I agree, find those special places, but, you know, we really need to get louder and bigger as a group and inform some of the policies that are being developed at each level of government. So, you know, make your voice heard.
Thank you, Tony. And finally, Andrew from Transition Toronto.
Yeah, I think I would encourage people to connect people to nature by getting them to connect to the people in their community and working with the people in their community to do good things for nature.
Beautiful. Yeah, so thank you so much, all of you, once again, for the work that you do. If you would like to learn about any of these panelists, they are on the EcoFair website, and I'll pass it over to you, Gabby.